again, folks. It's Scarlett. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about the tools of a kitchen witch, or a cottage witch, or a hearth witch, or whatever you want to call yourself. So for the most part, a kitchen witch or a cottage witch uses the same type of tools as any other type of witch, right? We have a handful of things that everyone uses. So we have the athame, or the ritual knife. You have your wand. You have a bolin, which is your working knife. Generally the athame has a black handle and the bolin has a white handle. You can use it for cutting herbs or anything of that nature that you might need to do. A cauldron, the chalice or cup, your pentacle, candles, incense, and an incense burner, whether you choose to use charcoal discs and loose incense or cones or sticks. It's your choice, but that's an important thing to have. A mortar and pestle, and herbs, of course. Also jars and bottles. You can never go wrong with lots of empty jars on hand ready to go, because you never know when you're going to need one, right? So I want to sort of pick out the tools that are specifically helpful for a cottage witch to use. Oh, I left out the broom, the besom, and the grimoire. My apologies. So I'm going off of my notes and I'm having a hard time reading my own handwriting. So the first thing that is especially handy for a kitchen witch is the bolin, the white-handled knife. I mean, these are your kitchen knives. They don't necessarily have to have a white handle, but you have your kitchen knives that are your working knives. And if possible, within your set of kitchen knives, maybe keep one knife separate that doesn't get used for cutting meat. Keep that knife special, only use it for chopping herbs and plants. And if that's not possible, then that's okay as well. But your kitchen knives, absolutely. You can bless them, you can anoint them, you can consecrate them for your uses, and I'll get into that a little bit more in another video. Your cauldron, right? My cauldron is this big. It's very tiny, but that's not my actual kitchen cauldron. My small, tiny cauldron I keep on my working altar, and I use to dispose of spell remains like ashes or wax. But in your kitchen, your cauldron is your pot, right? It's your cooking pot. It's the pots and pans you use to create special meals or do craft work in, or create your tinctures and your salves and whatever else you make. That's your cauldron, right? Just like most homes don't have a hearth anymore, we have a stove. So our modern day hearth is our stove, and our modern day cauldron is our pots and pans that we use on that stove. Candles, right? Who doesn't want to use lots of candles? I like to use candles for atmosphere. I also keep a small kitchen altar, and I have a candle on that. And when I am doing my magical workings in the kitchen, I will light the candle on the altar to sort of activate things. And I may also burn incense in the kitchen while I'm working. It just depends on what I'm doing, to activate the space, sort of put me in the right mindset and get me ready to do my workings. You can use them for their good smell as well. I have candles in the kitchen that I also use to kind of cover up lingering smells after you cook a large meal. And then I have some as well on my altar. Jars and bottles, right? Save everything. If it's made of glass, save it. So in mayonnaise jars, jelly jars, olive jars, pickle jars, all of those. And if you don't like the way the lid looks, then paint it, right? Save the jars, clean them out, scrape off the labels, and paint the lids. And you've got a beautiful jar that you can use to store herbs or seashells or gems or rocks or whatever you want to put in them. And it's a great way to come up with an inexpensive way to store materials for your home apothecary that I'm sure you're working on. Herbs, right? Start in your kitchen cupboard. That's where you will find your tools you need to start. I use a lot of herbs and spices right out of my kitchen cupboard. Sorry about that. And, it's a great place to start. And so many of the herbs we use in magic are also used in cooking. That I think is particularly important for a kitchen witch to have is the mortar and pestle. And that is, right, the large, mine is very large. It's a bowl made out of some type of stone, a non-porous stone. That's really important. And then you have your tool for grinding, and you use this to mix or grind herbs together to make some kind of, maybe for a spell jar or a potion, or you can use it to grind up dried herbs. For example, if you grow some herbs in your garden and you dry them out, you can grind them up to more of a fine substance in your mortar and pestle. You can also use wooden ones, but if you get a stone one, again, make sure it's a non-porous stone. Mine is made of granite. I actually got mine at IKEA for really cheap at like $13, and I know that they generally carry them. So if you're near an IKEA and you want to get a really big, heavy-duty, high-quality mortar and pestle, go to IKEA, check out the kitchen area. They are sure to have one. You can also find them in metaphysical shops. The ones in those shops are usually smaller and slightly more expensive because they might be made out of a more expensive stone like onyx or soapstone or something of that nature. You can order them online as well. And I'm going to have a link to a couple of places where you can purchase them, good quality ones. But again, check your local shops first. Also, places like TJ Maxx or the Home Store usually have them made out of marble or granite for kitchen usage. So that's a good place to look as well. Your Book of Shadows, right? Or your grimoire or whatever you call it. Keep it in a safe space in your home where people can't get to it. But also, when you're doing your work in your kitchen, you need to have that with you. You want to have recipes in there. You want to put herbs and their properties. You want to put oils and their properties. All of the things that you need to know as a home witch, a hearth witch, a kitchen witch. You want to write down in that grimoire and make sure you have it as a reference, because we can't memorize everything. That's why we put things in books and on paper so that we have them. You can also write down recipes for tinctures or salves or anything like that that you might be making and keep it handy. I personally have a religious, my Wicca Book of Shadows, and then I have what I call my kitchen grimoire. And that's where I keep all of my specific information for non-food recipes of like tinctures or salves or whatever that I might be making, herbs and their properties, and all of those things of that nature that I will use in the kitchen specifically. I have that in a separate Book of Shadows that I keep on hand in my kitchen. Also, the besom, the broom, right? It's an important tool. You can buy one, you can make one. It's your choice. They are, I think, a little bit hard to find if you want to buy one. I haven't seen too many places where you can just walk into a shop and buy them. But I know that online there are a lot of places that sell them. If you want to make one, there are specific woods that you can use. I know birch for the handle, and I think willow is involved. And I apologize, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will have a link below with information about how to make one and where to buy one. But the idea with a magical broom is to sweep your spaces clean, right? So anytime you start a magical working, you want to cleanse the space. And as a kitchen witch, you use your broom to cleanse your space. You don't physically touch the floor with the broom, but you sweep out the negative energy and sweep in the positive energy for a good, clean, wholesome space. So those are tools that are specific to a kitchen witch, and I hope that you will find them useful in your craft, and I hope that you will find them helpful. And if you have questions, please leave a comment. Again, I will have links below on where you can acquire these things, or how to make them yourself. So may you have a blessed day. May the goddess smile upon you, and may you enjoy the magic of the season.